The nandina is a species of flowering plant native to Eastern Asia. The smell at certain times of the year gives you a real buzz. Like the buzz you get just before pulling the trigger.
I'm watching this, and it's just a delight to hear Schrader's dialogue spoken by both of you. And it's just the way he reveals the characters in such a subtle way, in such a effortlessly. What is that like to take on? And what was your reaction, especially, let's start with you, with Narvel. What an interesting character.
Look, you know, he is very special, and it's special in a way. I think oftentimes writers that we see as special draw attention to themselves by writing in a way that draws a lot of attention. Hey, now we can see, draws a lot of attention to itself. I feel the same way about cinematography, and some of my favorite cinematographers and directors just put the camera in a simple place where it needs to be to capture that part of the story. And Paul's excellence is in his reduction and simplicity, and his confidence to not be too effusive and too over the top with exposition. And I think he creates a partnership with the audience whereby they get to fill in the blanks. And as an actor, it's really special, because you realize the power within the simplicity and the complexity within the simplicity of certain scenes. And, you know, to be a viewer of a film like First Reformed and watch that excellent, I think it's like a 12, 15-minute dialogue scene about religion versus the environment. You realize just how powerful a writer he is. So it was a real honor for me to be able to kind of be the one speaking the words.
Are you satisfied with the life that you have?
How would you ask that? You know, you talk a lot of shit, but there's one thing you don't talk about.
What's that?
Yourself.
Well, there's not much to know.
You've played everything. You've literally played everything. I don't think I've seen you quite play a role like Norma.
I haven't.
This was effortless for you, but it's effortless to watch. You got this. How did you find this?
Well, thank you.
Nope.
I have to say I've avoided this kind of part because I think it's usually quite a caricature of some rich bitch kind of person. But Norma's much more complicated than that. And when Paul talked to me at first, he said, this is a love triangle. I thought, oh, that's interesting. And I felt so emboldened by the simplicity of his dialogue, as you say, and you do too. There's no exposition, there's no anything but just this very elegant, precise language, which gives you a kind of power as an actor when there are things you want to say. And it, you know, the script is so good that it comes right out of you. So I feel like it was such a pleasure. It's hard to go back to a regular script after Paul Schrader. And I think his characters are they're so complex. So it was really a treat to work with him and to play a character like Norma that I've always avoided, but I actually I based her on two women, alive women, who I really love and admire. And you know, to go on that journey with her where she has the best intentions, or good intentions anyway, and completely underestimates life, I think, and love.
Gardening is a belief in the future, a belief that things will happen according to plan. Who did this to you?
What are you gonna do?
Well, I think, you know, I'm thinking about what we're talking about with Schrader's writing. I look back at Travis Bickle, Taxi Driver, and the bizarre nature of his character, the bizarre nature of these characters, but the reality of these characters, because we are human. The human race is very flawed. We all are in some way. He doesn't shy away from that ever with his scripts, with both of these characters, and even with Maya. This is just what is it like building it with him? What is it like kind of finding these, how does he work?
I do feel like, you know, there is a precision to Paul's writing, and beyond that, his ideas, and that a film like The Master Gardener is not only a film, it's also a debate about, you know, reform and about regrowth, and Paul, and I've even heard him talk about this, is sort of talks about presenting the audience with a potentially implausible and impossible relationship between myself and Maya's character, the young Maya.
And ours is not that plausible either.
I'm still holding out hope.
You too, kids.
But particularly because, you know, Maya is a young Black woman, and that Narvel is an ex-white nationalist with a huge history of violence towards African-American people. So how do we expect these two people to find a union that is deserving, particularly in Narvel's sense? Does he deserve a union like that? Does he deserve to be considered to be able to regrow and have a rebirth? And I think Paul even says some people are going to say no, and I think that part of the film is a challenge for the audience, a provocation, to say, how do you feel about this? Because I know when I first read it, and even as we're shooting, I'm like, should he really, no, won't give spoilers, but how should that relationship end or resolve, or should it be allowed to grow? Should a guy like Narvel get a second chance at life? You know, we only get one life. The cataclysmic damage, what happens next? What do we tap out? Do we commit suicide? Do we go Travis Bickle on the world? You know, what is the answer? And I think Paul's saying there is no real answer, but maybe it's impossible, but maybe it's not. That's the debate.
It's interesting. You ask what it's like to work with him. And I remember we did a table read for a couple of days, and he's not a chit chatter, but I remember he said the first day that Oscar Isaacs had asked him about wrapping all the furniture in white for a card counter and why his character would do that. And Paul said that he said to Oscar, "That's up to you."
Mm.
And I remember when he said that, I felt like I'd gotten wings. I thought, oh my God, he's going to trust us,
Wow.
Kind of empowered by these words. He's going to see where we go.
Time to start a new life.
I have created this life. Filled it with rules. Now seems the time to break one.
Your fears, there were no fears here. This was a real person. Norma's a real person. I didn't feel like I was watching a caricature. I didn't feel like I was watching a joke of a person. How much did how can you talk about the building blocks with you and Paul and finding that level of reality?
We had to shoot so quickly. There wasn't much chance to talk about things. I felt like I had the script, and that was Paul. That was Paul's presence in my life. And then you just fly by the seat of your pants, and you assume that he will ask for something else if he doesn't find it authentic. But I felt that, except for the table read where he did, I had a couple of questions about things, and by the time we finished filming we had those questions answered. Sometimes it was about a phrase or a word. But I felt like he empowered us with the script to go to these places. And he didn't really, I don't remember him even having the time to say much to me on the floor, because we shot all our scenes, my scenes, in like 3.5 days.
Oh, wow.
Boom, 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 you know?
You put the deep 6 on 9 bad guys.
Oh, well, it was a long time ago.
I feel like, you know, to that, I think Paul finds the actor that he wants for a particular role, and part of that is almost all the understanding you need. But you know, he and I had a chat about Narvel, where it was almost like he was giving me the plan for the fight that we were about to go through. You know, it was like, this is the fight plan, this is the game plan. Is that he wanted me to be still, not incredibly expressive, a real kind of like rock with all of the turbulence going on around. That Narvel was almost immovable, and that along the way, and once the shooting was happening, that he would shout, you know, certain little directions from the sideline to remind me of that game plan. So I think he has a real clear vision of things, and part of getting what he wants is casting the right person that he can imagine inhabiting the character that he's written. And then he doesn't need to be overly, he doesn't need to be overly verbose when it comes to being on set, giving you essays of direction.